This show is brought to you in part by Collaboration Global. If you want to network and take your business to the next level while working with the most amazing like-minded people around the world, Collaboration Global is the place for you. I'm a member. I love it. If you would like to join one of their meetings and get introduced, scan the QR code now and I will see you there.
So by applying systems like this and structure to your business on both sides, the for-profit and the nonprofit, then you're going to ensure that you're looking at the full array of basically departments within your business. And a lot of small business owners don't think that they have departments because they're not huge, but you need to be thinking about that yourself.
Welcome to Global Socialpreneurs, a one-of-a-kind talk show showcasing expert social entrepreneurs. Learn their stories and their secrets to creating a sustainable impact. Now, here is your host, social entrepreneur Anne Scotland.
Hi, welcome back to part 2 of an amazing interview we have with Dr. Nicolette Richer from British Columbia, who has a group of companies committed to giving back and transforming lives. Her primary flagship company is Richer Health, which is helping people in all walks of life get knowledge on and education on reversing chronic diseases using food as medicine. She also runs a chain of plant-based whole food restaurants, which is really exciting because I like good, healthy food, and I always love talking about that. Richer Health educational program helps schools, communities, youth, low-income, veterans, single moms, people with disabilities, BIPOC, educating so many people how to reverse those chronic mental health disorders, physical disorders. And what is also really exciting is she has a dual model, which is an enterprising nonprofit model. So not only is she a social entrepreneur, she also has a nonprofit division, and we'll talk a little bit more about how those work hand in hand. If you haven't seen part 1, you may want to jump back into part 1 and check that out. We're going to just kind of have fun on part 2 here, shoot the breeze, and talk about great ideas for people who are considering social entrepreneurship and people who are already doing it. How can they streamline it and make it better? So for all our viewers, please subscribe to the show and like this episode. And now here is Dr. Nicolette Richer.
Hi, thanks for having me on the show again. Pleasure to be here.
Hello. I'm so excited to have you back, and excited today because we can just shoot the breeze. We spent part 1 mostly talking about specifically and in detail how your enterprise is run, how your social enterprise, social entrepreneurship, the nonprofit arm, which was really exciting. But let's get back more to personal life. Some of the things I didn't get to ask you last time. So, for example, what made you so committed and excited about health to begin with? Why was that become your focus?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we all have that origin story. And as you dive into it, you learn that there's multiple points of the origin story. But the one critical defining moment was when my best friend's dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He was given 3 months to live. He was 72 years old at the time, and there really wasn't a treatment option for him. So the doctor said, go home and get your affairs in order. Now, he is a entrepreneur, that was teaching. He was growing one of the fastest growing real estate companies at the time at 72. He wasn't ready to give up on life. So he went through the literature, and he had remembered somebody previously who had told him you can reverse cancer with food. And so he dove into the research. He switched his entire lifestyle, started eating plant-based, did the specific therapy, which I now teach, and he reversed his cancer and lived another 22 years. So 72-year-old man, stage 4 cancer, lives 22 more years. And in that time, he became a pilot. He ended up growing that real estate company. It's huge now. And he was amazing and healthy right up until the end when he passed away in his 90s. So I couldn't deny what I had witnessed. And so I dove into the research, and that changed everything for me. Now, before that, I was already in government working in the environmental sector. So I was the environmental activist creating policies and programs. And when I went and researched the therapy that Bill had done, I immediately saw that direct connection. So when you consume a plant forward, plant strong lifestyle, you are an environmental activist. You are reducing greenhouse gas emissions. You are, protecting the planet. You are reducing the amount of plastic packaging that you're consuming on a daily basis. And so it just made sense that I leave government, move away from the environmental sector, as I put my fingers in quotation marks, and then move into the health sector, because I saw immediately when people could see that they can reverse their chronic disease, they in turn become environmental activists as well, just through the daily lifestyle choices that they're making. So that's how I ended up getting into this.
Wow. And I just love that because it's an exponential impact.
Yes.
Not only are you teaching how to reverse chronic disease, that's encouraging a greener lifestyle for everyone who's participating in your restaurants. They're, organic, vegan, I think, no waste. And just teaching people a whole new way of thinking and being is in itself better for the planet. So I think it's so fascinating, interesting. In most cases, when we do what's really best for ourselves,
Yes.
healthiest, often, whether that's emissions or anything else, when we're healthier, the planet is healthier in so many different ways, which is amazing. And and so I think maybe a great question right here would be just for sort of a balanced response around reversing chronic diseases, because as many people know, I grew up in a very health conscious family and I grew up vegan, and I have seen chronic diseases reversed through lifestyle and diet. And I've also seen when it failed. So how do you address that in your business when people have sometimes done it and still struggled to get the outcome they wanted?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when it comes to, I don't love the word vegan, and I don't love a lot of these labels that we put on our diets and lifestyles, because I can snort cocaine and drink whiskey and eat hot dogs every day that are vegan, but that's not going to make me healthy. That's not going to reverse a chronic disease. Okay. That is going to make me sick. If I eat all these Impossible burgers every day and the Beyond Meat burgers, you're going to keep your chronic diseases. You're not going to reverse them. And so what you need to do is remove all the labels and just go back to eating real food. That is the number one thing. And that's the difference between what we do and what, the rest of the world is teaching. A lot of people teach these 80-20 rules. They teach, how to eat vegan by just not eating meat and not eating dairy, but it goes way beyond that. You can't eat all the packaged processing dyes, fillers, chemicals, sodiums, monosodium glutamate, the pesticides. That will not help you reverse disease if that is contained within your vegan food. So you may want to reconsider relabeling yourself to simply being somebody who eats real food. And it's not a sexy term, right? I eat real food. I eat whole foods. I eat plant-based foods. That is not sexy. And I get it. So we want these labels, but what you need to really be is, if you want a label, I'll give you this one, and it's become a nutritarian. Okay. And become somebody who puts the least amount of toxins in your body, whether it's environmental toxins or even your own metabolic waste that your body's producing. You want to minimize that. You want to move it out of your body. So I haven't yet come up with the term for it to encompass hypernutrification, hyperdetoxification. There is a word. If somebody comes up with it, please give it to me. I will, trademark it, or let you trademark it. Let me borrow it, whatever. I
like nutritarian. I think that was that's very, that really covers all the bases. Maybe not the healing part, but it does talk about eating with intention, naturally. So, and one more question around diet before we kind of dive in more to the social entrepreneurship side of things. But I know for the diet and lifestyle I've had, I mostly get asked by people who are who are eating meat, for example, how do you get enough protein? And especially if you're knocking out those fake meat products, how do you get enough protein? So what is your go-to in your restaurants for that?
Right. So here's the thing. And trust me, I have trained physicians all around the world, and they ask the same question, but where are you going to get your protein? So there isn't a food on the planet. There is not a plant-based food on the planet that is not made of protein, everything, it's a building block of life. Protein is a building block of life. So if you eat a carrot, you are consuming protein. If you are eating an apple, you're consuming protein. And people are shocked to hear that. But in our food, if you eat, really it's about eating an abundance and diversity of food. So on your plate, have some beans, have some whole grains, have some fruit, have some vegetables. Your entire plate is protein. So everybody's worried about protein, but we are not in an epidemic of protein deficiency in our developed countries. Yes, if you are from a very poor country that can't grow their own food, yes, you might be protein deficient, but that's because you're just not getting food. You're not getting food. You might be eating maybe one meal a day or starving for 2-3 days. But if you're living in North America, in Europe, in Australia, you are eating food every single day. You are probably getting too much protein if you're adding all of this extra meat, dairy to your diet as well. So you do not need to be afraid of protein. In fact, too much protein is what's actually contributing to all of these chronic diseases. And so we balance out the protein without ever having to count a calorie, without ever having to measure how much protein, and you'll reverse your diseases quickly.
Wow. Wow. So do you have like I mean, people are obsessed with reading labels because they're eating packaged food. But do you have a recommendation for people around protein? Is the protein, I mean, obviously it's different for different people, but compared to the FDA recommendations, how much protein is enough? Just what you're getting from your spinach and your beans and your...
Yes. So, and it's a great question. And a lot of people will be shocked to hear that as an athlete, so I'm an endurance athlete, on my big training weeks, it's 16 hours a week of training, 5 hours a day of biking, running 10K to 21K at a time. And I'm telling you, I don't need that much more protein than an individual who just sits at their desk at their computer every single day. You'd be shocked to know it's maybe a banana, a couple more dates, teaspoon of a healthy nut butter on a slice of toast before I go to bed, and not the Wonder Bread that you buy at the store, but a true peasant bread that you make in your house. It's really easy. So, and that contains all the additional protein that I need. You don't need that much more protein and you will regenerate. So I get to run without injuries. I regenerate after a 9-hour training day. And you'll be shocked to know I don't need that much more protein. And my entire diet is plant-based without any of the protein shakes, without any of protein pills and protein powders. I don't take those and I still get enough protein.
Wow, incredible. And then out of curiosity, because a lot of us have worked with homeopathic doctors or what some of us will call crossover doctors. And so we kind of we're too afraid to let go 100%. So do you and your clients, I'm sure you still do blood work and see how your health is measuring up, right?
All of my clients have a diagnosed chronic disease when they come to me. So they have been sick for years, battling the medical system, getting their pills upgraded to more pills, different pills. Let's try these different concoctions, surgery. Nothing has worked. A lot of them come to me when the doctors are like, we don't know what else to do. Or, they're going blind. They're facing an amputation. They're suicidal by this point because they're just so distraught. They have no metabolic energy. Their brain fog is it's awful. They have anxiety. So for my clients, they have their diagnosis and we have years worth of blood work, years worth of lab results. And so we just make sure they have all the ones that we need, which is not much more than what your doctors are going to order. And then we just monitor. So they'll start the program and we do more blood work at 4 weeks, 6 weeks, depending on the chronic condition, it might be more often or, once every 3 months. And then what's beautiful is when you get the lab results back and the doctor's taking them off their medications and the doctor's saying, you don't need to come in anymore. I don't need to, let's do a checkup in a year or 2 years from now. That's the amazing thing about the work that we do. So it's all monitored. It's all diagnostic. It's all data driven. And it's beautiful because it's not just the data showing that they're healed, but the individual goes back to work. They go back to playing sports. They go back to serving their family and their community, which they weren't able to do because they were in so much pain and in so much agony because of their chronic disease.
Wow. Incredible. And Thank you all to our viewers for indulging me in getting that answer. And I hope it was inspirational for you. There's always something we can change in our lifestyle and diet to make us healthier. And the big payoff, though, is when you make a change big enough and healthy enough to start feeling the difference in your energy, to start feeling the clarity in your thinking, to start, realizing that, oh, I don't have those aches and pains today that I usually have. So that's, I encourage you, if that's something that gets you excited, to check out more in Nicolette's program. So on to more about social entrepreneurship, which is just so fun and exciting. And I get so excited about all the things that you are doing. So first of all, what do you think, and this is a good general question, but what do you think is the greatest advantage to the change that social entrepreneurship in particular can make in the world over the next 10 or 20 years? And why? Like, why is social entrepreneurship so much better than just charities, than just regular entrepreneurships or for-profit enterprises that are not, making an impact? What is the difference? And because since I get excited about it, and I know you do, I'd love to hear what you have to say on that.
Yes. So it needs to be done well. That's one of the things, because if you're going to do this work, number one, if you're a for-profit, you got to make sure you're profitable. That is the key. And I've made the mistake of giving away too much and not hanging on to enough of the profits. And that when you go through a dip like COVID, or when, you get impacted by just a bad economic year. For us, we live in a resort community, so the weather dictates how many people come to our community. But, we are a global organization. A lot of our programs that we do have, they're online, so we have a diversity of offerings, so that if we're impacted in our community directly, we still have a global audience that we work with. So then it helps to make sure that we're sustainable. And, most businesses don't survive the first year, let alone the first 5 years. And, we are 18 years into, one of our businesses, 10 years into the other one, 7 years into the next. And so by having the diversity of offerings, so it's important to have multiple revenue streams, not too many that you're not doing any one of those well. I've also made that mistake before. But, you want to make sure that your business is solid on both sides, because a lot of people think that they can just start a charity and that people will give them money and you're going to have money flowing in for the rest of your life. That's not how that works. And so you also need to make sure that the charity, even if it's a nonprofit, and this is the number one mistake people make, is they think they don't need to run it like a real business. But a charity is a real business. You need your cash flow documents. You need your business plan. You need your forecasting, Excel spreadsheets. You need to know when you're going to be hitting the red and what you're going to do about it, and hustle your butt so that you get out there and make sure that you're not going to, tank your company. It's just like a for-profit. So this is the one mistake I see a lot of people make when they're making the decision whether they should be a for-profit, a sole proprietor, or a nonprofit. You're still a business. So think with the business mindset. First and foremost is the most important.
Yes. And just even having a strategic business plan.
Yes.
I encourage people I work with, to have, it can be a board of directors, or it can just be volunteers who are strategically chosen because they have different strengths and experiences that balance it out. One person alone is rarely outrageously successful. Because not only we don't have all the skills, all the experience, even personality differences, all these things that, you need the person who's obsessive with the numbers. You need the person who is the visionary, thinking out of the box, super excited, but doesn't have any idea how to keep the books. You need the people who always make sure the work gets done, and the management. So finding those right team of people, and I'm sure you have done that as well, is also hugely important.
Yeah, hands down important on both sides, the for-profit and the nonprofit. So I always recommend every entrepreneur, for-profit side or nonprofit, that you have a mentor. Number one. So you have a mentor, and then have your board of advisors or board of directors. You need that for the nonprofit, but for a for-profit, a lot of people don't think that they need a board of advisors, and it might only be 1, 2, or 3 people. Now you can also think like a nonprofit on the for-profit side with a board of advisors as well, a board of directors. And you can do that on your own. So every single week, it's a 7x7 wheel. Tony Robbins is the one who teaches this. It's brilliant. But week 1, think about what legal aspects of your business need to be considered. Week 2, you can think about the marketing. Week 3, think about communications. Week 4, think about HR, so on and so forth. So by doing that, you as an individual are forcing yourself to learn these different areas of the business, but also just get a few other people who have expertise in those areas. So you don't think you have to learn it all on your own, because you won't be able to. So by applying systems like this and structure to your business on both sides, the for-profit and the nonprofit, then you're going to ensure that you're looking at the full array of basically departments within your business. And a lot of small business owners don't think that they have departments because they're not huge, but you need to be thinking about that yourself, and then making sure if you have a weakness, and a weakness is not a bad thing. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to go out and learn how to be a lawyer and study to do that. And I'm also not an accountant or a bookkeeper, but I can learn to understand my financial statements, but work with those experts who can then give me and loan me their advice and knowledge and wisdom.
That's great. That's great. Really building the key team, knowing what you're good at. But I love what you said about no matter how big or small your business, no matter how small in particular, to realize that you need to treat it with different departments. You need to have your marketing department. You need to have your sales department. You need to have your PR, your HR, your, accounting. So those are really good ways to think of it, and such good advice too. Especially love, the Tony Robbins program with a different focus every week, which is super glad. I'm glad you reminded everyone of that as well. Yeah. So what right now are you most excited about in what you're building? I mean, I know you have these incredible crossover enterprises, for-profit with nonprofit arm. But what is something fun and new that you're working on right now that you're extra excited about?
Oh, we are launching a new program called Rise Up. And this is it's going to be it's a chronic disease reversal challenge for corporations, because most corporations have big ones, especially or medium sized, they'll have an HR department that is often hiring a health and wellness expert who comes in, teaches mindfulness, meditation, stress management, yoga. They sometimes put a gym in their office so that the employees can go work out. But here's the thing, you cannot meditate. And some people might argue that you can, but you cannot meditate your way out of a chronic disease. Most people do not know how to do that. They don't have the mindfulness to be able to do that, the skills to be able to do that. True. You cannot exercise your way out of a bad diet as well. People have tried, but they cannot do it. But the one piece that is missing from most corporations is the food element. So here you have all these health promoting organizations, and then they'll throw an event together and they're serving the exact food that is creating the chronic diseases amongst their employees. So here they're serving their employees the food that destroys their gut lining, contributes to their mental health conditions, which then contributes to the poor productivity of that individual, which means that the organization itself is suffering. Why do that? But I get it. And it's because we have not been taught the relationship between food, our diet, and our health, and also how that relates to productivity. So by having this program called Rise Up, and it's called Rise Up because a lot of organizations employ people of color. And people of color suffer from these chronic diseases at 4 to 8 times higher rates, like I mentioned on the last show. It is not because of their genes. Okay. It is often because of their economic status. They get paid less, so they can afford less healthy food. Often they live in communities where they can't even access healthy food because we have policies in place that absolutely discriminate and prevent grocery stores from even being able to open up in these low-income communities in North America. So we have systemic oppression happening. And meanwhile, these organizations hire people of color, and they need them as well. But they're suffering from these chronic diseases. So Rise Up is about helping the weakest members in our society. And when I say weak, again, it's not a bad word. It just means that they have systemically been oppressed. So they have, these chronic diseases, and we are only as strong as our weakest member of society. So if they can reverse their chronic diseases through the help of their organization, then all of a sudden, everybody thrives. Society thrives. We have better parents who can think clearly and be more patient with their kids. We have people who are earning more money, so then they're able to give money back into the communities and to other nonprofits. So Rise Up is our I think probably one of the best programs we've ever launched. And we've done a lot of
Wow.
good things, but yeah, I'm really
That is
excited
really
about
exciting, and it makes so much sense. And I love what you're saying about, even addressing the weaker members of society or the workforce, or yeah, I guess you could also say creating stronger individuals and
that.
businesses, right? Because they're also, clearly the business is stronger when their employees show up, when they're healthier, when they're thinking clearly. So that is so exciting. Wow. So for corporations, I do see what you're talking about too. I suppose for those that actually have their in-house cafeterias and stuff, that's something you get to talk to if they're interested, which is, if people really want a burger, they could probably get in their car and go find one. But if you're going to eat here in the company headquarter office, then you're probably not going to find one. You're going to find much better, healthier alternatives, which is really exciting. And I think we're finally to that place where companies realize the importance of this, and obviously they do, and they're bringing you on. So, wow, really excited about Rise Up. Also excited. I think you mentioned when we were talking beforehand that in the near future, you're also opening up a chain of restaurants in New York. Is that correct?
Yes. So we sold 10 franchises to a master franchisee in New York just months before COVID broke out. And of course, COVID put a delay. New York was hit the hardest by COVID, considering the density of New York. So that was really hard to watch. So yeah, we're hoping that the first cafe opens up there, which will be really exciting. The East is a bit of a challenge. If you're on the West Coast, you're probably a little bit more food focused, health focused than the hustle and bustle that happens in a lot of stress that's back East in a lot of communities there. So it'll be interesting. But New York is also really progressive. They're really fast to catch on. I was teaching a group of health professionals there, and I do have to admit, I was shocked by the lack of knowledge around health and wellness. So many people eat out. They eat from the street vendors. A lot of it is deep fried food, deep fried vegan food as well. So they think they're eating healthy, but meanwhile, they're just consuming a lot of processed garbage and preservatives. And so that's something that we can't wait to be able to contribute to, is making New York healthy. And if New York is healthy, the rest of the world's going to catch on, and the rest of the world's going to be healthy too. So yeah, that's why we decided to focus on New York.
I love that. I love that. And will that still be the same name? What is the name of your restaurants where you are now?
Yeah. So in Canada, it's called the Green Mustache. We have the trademark for that. But in the United States, there is another Green Mustache. Yes, but that's not our company. They are in the line of organic food, but it's organic processed packaged food. And that's not us. So please do not mistake us. Our spelling is Mustache, MOUASTCH. So it's the French spelling. And I'm sure there's going to be links here. So yeah. So it'll be called, right now the trademark is Richer Health Cafes, but we're not sure if we're going to be using that name or not. We'll let you know.
Wow. That is so exciting. And I suppose if anyone watching would like more information about opening one, they could reach out to you and say, I would be interested in being part of this franchise and extending this whole, snowball effect of entrepreneurship, social enterprise. How exciting would that be? So if someone of you watching is looking for a new opportunity in your city and you think this could be a great idea, then definitely reach out to Nicolette. Well, we only have a few minutes left. This has gone so quickly again, of course, and it's been so fun. It's so wonderful. So what would you say to people who are just thinking about social entrepreneurship? So they're not even practicing yet. They're not, they haven't pivoted their company or their personal entrepreneurship. What is one of the greatest motivating factors for changing that business model into a social entrepreneurship model? I think most people are usually worried about money. So what would you suggest?
Yeah, that you are going to get everything back tenfold when you consider becoming a social entrepreneur. So there are beautiful companies out there that are doing incredible things, like 10 Tree is one of those organizations, Potluck Cafe Society, that they are a for-profit cafe, but they make food and give free meals to homeless individuals, underhoused individuals in the downtown east side of Vancouver. So when they cater, they charge a lot more when they're catering for the for-profit companies, so they can take that profit and then make food, which for them, it's really easy to do because it's affordable, it's at cost, and then they can give out really healthy meals to individuals. So when you do that, you are going to share that story with others, and then other customers are going to be attracted to you because a lot of people, they want to be of service to their community and they just don't know how to do it. And if they can't do it themselves, then they want to support a company that's doing it. So they're going to support your company. But first and foremost, you need to have a business strategy and a business plan. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to just take money, give it away. Because number one, you want to make sure that if you're giving money away, it's actually being utilized in a really good way as well. So you want to make sure whoever you're giving it to, that there's benefit there. You want to see the return on investment through the money that you're giving away. That's important. Writing a check and then just giving it, that's not social entrepreneurship, in my opinion. The second thing you want to do, make sure your financial model is sustainable, because if you give away too much, you're not going to be in business in a couple of years. So you need to go back to the books. You need to maybe raise your prices. So start charging more for your services and products so that you can have the money to give away and make sure that your company is strong and successful. You can partner with another organization. So don't think that you need to go out there and create a charity. You don't need to do it. It's a lot of work to do that. It might take you 2 or 3 years before you get the formal documents announcing that you're a charity. So why not partner with an existing company that is aligned with yours? Maybe it's a company that needs your company's waste, right? So maybe it's heat waste. Maybe it's food scraps like our company does. Maybe it's services or programs that you can offer and also contribute to that charity. So that charity doesn't have to spend a lot of money reinventing the wheel. So think about partnerships. You don't have to be creating a brand new business from scratch to be a social entrepreneur, and then work together with that organization, co-create something together, use the economies of scale. You might want to share an office with a charity so that they don't have to get their own office. Or maybe if you're a new business, you ask to rent a desk in a charity's office that is successful and doing well. And then you work out to how you can offer the for-profit service. They continue to offer the nonprofit services and products. So you can do that. But what you need to do is you need to start with a business plan. And your business plan does not need to be 70 pages long. I love one-page business plans. If you can complete a one-page business plan and you know that you still want to move ahead with that business, then create a 5-page pitch deck. Okay, create a 5-page pitch deck and then go pitch your concept to other nonprofits, other charities, other businesses, create those partnerships. And then if you need to go and create the 30 or 40-page business plan that you need to submit to get funding to launch your business, then go ahead and do that. So it's very systematic, the same way that you would do it if you're starting a for-profit company.
Wow, that was some of the best advice we have ever got here on the show. And I hope everyone stuck around long enough to listen to that, because that is really useful. And I'm sure you will probably see that clip again. And she's speaking from experience, Nicolette, is because this is one of the things that got me really excited about when we first talked, was about partnerships, not so much in like formal business partnerships, but more cooperative partnerships. For example, you were talking about how your businesses have shared space. I would love to hear that again, like how they shared space and vice versa.
Yeah, we did this with our first 3 restaurants. And so when we were looking for retail space in Whistler, British Columbia, which is where our first restaurant opened, the cost per square footage is through the roof. It's one of the most expensive places in the world. And so I couldn't find us either. All the spaces were either too big, not available, not correct, not right. So another woman in the community, a mom at the school, our kids were in grade 1 together. And she came up to me and she said, would you consider renting a space with me? And I was like, oh, that's an interesting concept. And so we started looking for spaces together. And immediately we found a space that neither one of us could have afforded. And plus it would have been too big for us, but it was perfect for 2 businesses. So we did something that nobody had done in our community, and we were able to lease a space from our landlord with both of us on the lease so that not one business would be liable if the other one failed. So we were both on there. And we've been in business for 10 years. It's been an incredible partnership. She has 3 Singing Birds, which is a sustainable local retail store that has gorgeous clothing made by incredible artists, home decor. And then we're a restaurant on the other side, and we have a barn door that slides open. So our customers move back and forth between the retail shop and our cafe. It's gorgeous. They shop, spend money in her store while they're waiting for the food to be made. It's an amazing, amazing, beautiful location. Our second location was a fine dining restaurant, and they had a section of the restaurant that was a bar, and they didn't want to have a bar. So they asked if we wanted to put our cafe in there. So we're direct competition. We're a food establishment, but we're an organic cafe that served, beautiful smoothies and cold pressed juices and lunches and breakfast. And then they're a fine dining restaurant. And so it was perfect. People would come to our location, and then when they wanted to eat out and have a fine dining experience, they can go to their location. So we got to share our customers. It was really beautiful. And then our third location, we opened up because, again, we were worried about getting into a space that was too big and cost too much money. So we opened up our third location with a local photographer. So she needed a place to have her studio. So it's half photography studio and Cooperative, where she then launched another business where she taught young and coming photographers how to be amazing photographers. So the Whistler Women's Collective in Whistler. And so we had those 2 businesses that ran together for many, many years. And then she outgrew the space. We needed more space. So then we were able to take over her space. So it just works beautifully that if you think you can't open a business just yet, partner with somebody else, and just make sure though that you're aligned with your values. You have good contracts in place, but in all 3 locations, the relationships were beautiful.
Wow, that's so motivating, and similar to what I had shared with you just the other day too, which was a friend of mine in my town who was made an agreement with a local coffee shop that was closed from like 4 p.m. on to do her organic pressed juices by using their kitchen, a certified kitchen. And so she's there in the evenings and even later. And then they're there at 5 a.m. She's gone. The place is clean. So what an incredible way to improve costs and benefit for both sides. And as I also said the other day, it's like airlines. I'm not using them as a primary example, but the planes are almost never not flying. Sometimes they rest for 4 or 5 hours at night, sometimes not even that long. So they're constantly in motion. They're kept in great condition, but it's constantly using what we have as our tools, whether that's space to rent, whether that's equipment. So thinking outside the box and how you as a social entrepreneur can or do find ways to share and pull these resources is incredible, and really one of the very best ideas for especially getting started, as Nicolette said. And I love that when your photography partner finally had to move out and need a bigger studio, you needed a bigger restaurant, and so you just took over the lease. So I think that's just absolutely amazing. It's perfect. It's the way it should be.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you, Nicolette, for being here. We so appreciate your time, your passion, and the incredibly helpful advice you've given to everyone. And we just wish you the best of luck with all that you're doing. And I hope that a lot of our viewers will reach out to you and find out more about your Richer Health program and other things that they could get involved with you. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show and letting me share these stories. Yeah, thanks. Please I welcome everybody to reach out. Would love to support.
Absolutely. And below you'll see in the banner, you will see information to reach out to her, to myself. It's also should be in the notes. If you would love to continue offering the world this incredible information, we are looking for sponsors. So if you know a sponsor who would be interested in helping keep this show on the air, let us know. We would be incredibly grateful and excited to partner with some new sponsors. Also, please like and subscribe subscribe on whatever channel you're watching if that's possible, and reach out at any time. You can email me directly at contact@anscottlin.com. You can jump on the website, globalsocialpreneurs.com, and get more information about building a global social entrepreneurship, whether it's from scratch, whether it's pivoting an existing enterprise or business, or even just your own startup into becoming a social entrepreneurship. It has huge advantages, as you can see, an incredibly vivacious, energized, and exciting community that really makes you want to get up in the morning. Not only because your business is making you money and others money and creating impact in the world, but because you get to work with more incredible people like Nicolette along the way. So thank you so much, all of you. Please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any ideas for another magnificent social entrepreneur who would be great to have on the show, please do. As always, be kind to those you meet today and be kind to yourself. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Ann Scottlin. Are you one of those people who always wants to aim higher? Would you like to increase your profits and your personal fulfillment at the same time? And wouldn't you love to make a greater impact in your business and your life? If your answer is yes to any of those, find out more and send me a message at anscottlin.com/special. I would love to work with you.